Hi guys, welcome Jack. I'm Adrian and I'm off to another redbar event, another Oris redbar event. This time they're going to be talking about their movements, bringing movements in-house, and hopefully we're going to have a chat with Ulrich, the chairman of Oris. Let's go see what's going to happen.
I'm Ulrich. I'm the chairman of the Oris group in Switzerland, and I'm personally involved or with Oris since 40 years, and I joined in 78, and since then that's my part of important part of my life, and it is really I think it's a commitment to a brand and to a company, and which made this whole thing go. The watch crisis in the late 70s, early 80s, when the Swiss watch industry came under pressure from the first Japanese and then the Hong Kong Quartz manufacturing brands, which really pushed on the world markets the cheap quartz movements. And the Swiss, although they invented the quartz watches as first, they were a bit late because they had heavy investment in mechanical watches. And so they decided, well, let's try to keep on the mechanical part and bring the quartz a bit later. And then it was really, they were flooded with these cheaper and cheaper quartz movements or quartz watches, and this caused the crisis. And as I said earlier, you know, we lost in Switzerland in the watch industry from 90,000 to down to 30,000 people working for that industry, an unbelievable cut. And I think around 1,000 companies went bust at that time. You know, we kept going. As I said, everybody was in crisis. You can take Omega, any brand. You know, some of them were saved by the banks, and because we just didn't see a future for some time. Then we were part of a group at the time, and then we decided to make a management buyout in 1982. Right. And to get this, because we thought this is a brand which is long established, 1904, number one. Number two, it's never done something wrong. They really have offered a product at accessible prices. And they have also, at the same time, they have managed to go through all these difficult periods before the watch crisis I just described. So we said, okay, if this is the case, we, Dr. Portman, myself, who made the buyout, believe in this. And we then had a moment when it really went further down, actually, when we bought out. And then later on, like I explained earlier, we had the opportunity to see, or the vision to see, that the mechanical watches, that could be something for the future, you know. And that was the moment when we started focusing on making mechanical watches at accessible prices with very special faces, you know, because that is important, that you don't just take a standard movement, you take something special. That was the moment when it started to really take on. And the first leading market was Japan, actually, because they were the first one to see this. They're always a bit ahead of the rest of the world. Japan was the market, and still today is still leading in advance. You know, they pick up things earlier than others. Right. And they realized that the mechanical watch has a future, like I explained earlier. And this was really something which, when I heard this, I said, if these young Japanese guys are looking for mechanical watches, and they're full of digitals at the time, you know, quartz, digital, complicated, where you could calculate whatever. If they look for a product like this, there must be something more than just, telling the time. And it was the emotion, which was so much involved. And today you can only sell watches on the wrist unless you have smart watches, which maybe you connect somewhere. But these kind of watches are an emotional piece. Yeah, I mean, as you maybe Rolf told you, it's each section has its meaning. You know, first three is the movement and the model number, then the material of the case, and then finally the dial. And then you go on and have the strap, and that strap part has another meaning. So when you understand the numbers, you can read actually what this watch can do. But we don't expect this from the consumers. But what is good, this reference number system is in operation since I joined the company.
Wow.
So it means it actually was introduced before 78. And this means also when we trace something in our computer for spare parts, whatever, it's easier, much easier, or we find things, because if you change reference number and you don't know what it means, and people in your company don't know, it really makes things difficult. And that is the reason why we said, no, let's keep it. Of course, now we have the family names. We say Aquis or ProPilot.
Yeah.
Makes it easier for you. Oh, I saw a ProPilot with a in-house movement, then we know what you're talking about.
Sure.
And so we can communicate with our consumers.
I like that. So reference numbers become like a secret code for the Oris
For the insiders.
For the insiders. And the real enthusiasts.
Yeah. You know, when I say I'm here today and tomorrow, I'm thinking of 2019, 2020, 21, because product development, particularly if you think in movements like this caliber 114, I said we're going to bring caliber 115. So this involves quite a lot of investment also. So, and time. Designing of a case takes about a year, and designing of a dial maybe half a year, and hands same. So if you design a movement, it takes about 3 to 4 years.
Wow.
So because the same in the car industry, all these things, it's really, you got to, you have a case which fits a certain movement, but then you have to design the movement, and this movement you give some measurements to that movement, which you, like here, we know, for instance, now 115, I know now, just before I came here, we know how high it's going to be. So we now start working on the case design, and we want to bring it next Basel Fair. So that one is about it's not a new movement, you know, it's built on an existing movement, it's of course much faster.
Yeah.
But if you start a new movement like we did this one, it took us about 3 to 4 years to develop this.
That's amazing.
It's, you know,
so when you take into consideration the price,
yeah,
it's quite amazing how much work's been taken
into it, of course, and also the risk. Apart from the work, the risk, you have to think what is happening in 3-4 years. Is it still in demand in the market, or is manual wound nobody wants? So you take a certain risk and say, no, I think we believe in this. I think it's still going to be around. It's actually the caliber 114, which has again the small second, the non-linear power reserve indication, and in addition it has a GMT 24-hour second time zone. So if you go here, you can adjust the time zone, and the good thing is here, if you are living in India or in Australia, you can have half hours. So you set it on a half hour, and then it starts continuing moving on half hours. And this is something most brands don't have. They don't care about those Indians and Australians. So we do, and have brought this. It's not so big complication actually. It's just not a big thing, you know. You just adjust it that you can set it to half hour. Once you set it to half hour, it continues the same way. But you have to think about it, you know.
Yeah,
you have to think about it. And the backside is still the same. It has one barrel, which has the power reserve for 10 days in it, and warm gear, which is this one here, which controls the non-linear power reserve indication. So it's really amazing what you get out of this.
So guys, that is my Oris Red Bar video. It seems like the more people I meet at Oris, the more I fall in love with the brand. Everyone at Oris just seems so genuinely passionate about watches. And it kind of feels like they're fighting a good fight of bringing honest pricing back. This sounds like a bloody advert for Oris. It was just nice to meet more Oris people. They're good guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Adrian. I usually drink coffee and talk about watches, but it's late. It's like 9:45. I should be at home with the kids. I'm gonna go home to the kids. Anyway, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit that thumbs up button if you like the video. Check me out on Instagram at @BarkandJack. Check me out on Facebook as well /BarkandJack. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.